As you may know, pretty much every popular book that has been released the past couple of years is becoming a movie or TV show. And it's to the point where we're not even surprised anymore anytime we hear of an adaptation coming out. Anytime we read a popular book, we just assume that it's gonna get adapted at some point.
There's dozens of books that have been picked up and have been in the works for some time. So we're just gonna sit down and go over some of the many book-to-screen adaptations that we found.
Disclaimer though, this information is everything that we found from either author postings or different articles that were posted throughout the year. Obviously with the writer's strike, I'm sure some of these dates are pushed back even further, but this is all the information we found, so we're just gonna go ahead and get started. Up first, we kind of have to talk about this one just because it's the only one that's finished filming, it has a set date, and it will be released soon, and that is It Ends With Us by Colleen Hoover. It got a movie adaptation, and it is said that the release date will be February 9th of 2024. It's being directed by Justin Baldoni and somehow also starring Justin Baldoni along with Blake Lively. I've seen some of the behind the scenes pictures. I'm honestly not excited for it at all. It's not a movie I would pay to see. I'm gonna wait until it's available on a streaming service. I don't mean to be a negative Nelly about it. I just don't think it's gonna come anywhere close to the book, and I can't imagine it being adapted.
Well, it is.
But it's coming out February 2024, so we'll see. Let us know if you are excited to see it or what your thoughts are. I'm kind of hoping all the behind the scenes pictures is just like Colleen messing with us and like it's actually gonna look really good.
A young adult adaptation that we are getting is Turtles All the Way Down by John Green. It's being adapted into a movie with HBO, and there's no release date yet, but they did just finish filming with the director Hannah Marks. I think this one's going to be so fun because the main guy character is going to be Felix Mallard, who plays Marcus and Ginny and Georgia, and I absolutely love his character in that, so I'm really excited to see how he's going to be in this movie. But we did both read this book and we both really loved it, so we can't wait to see this one.
Another exciting one coming out is Percy Jackson and the Olympians. The book by Rick Riordan is getting another adaptation and is being released December 20th on Disney+, so that's super soon. The article had said a decade after mad reactions to the Logan Lerman-led films Percy Jackson, the fans are getting the author's rendering of the popular YA fantasy novels in the 8-part TV show. I liked the Logan Lerman adaptations, but I get it. I also didn't read the books beforehand, so I'm sure people were angry with the adaptation, but I'm so excited for the series. I know everyone is really looking forward to it, so I will be watching when it comes out.
YA dystopian adaptations are going strong in 2023. Netflix is adapting Scott Westerfeld's Uglies into a movie. The film is produced by Joey King, who is starring as Tally Youngblood, and I also know Chase Stokes, who plays John B, is also going to be in it, so that's already a nice little cast going on. Filming did take place in December 2021. The movie was expected to drop at some point this year, but a release date hasn't been announced yet, so we still have some time to read it before it drops.
So apparently Tomorrow, Tomorrow, and Tomorrow by Gabrielle Zemin was picked up by Paramount Pictures and Temple Hills Entertainment for a movie adaptation. The film deal included the author of the book to write the screenplay. I think that should be necessary for all adaptations.
That should be the norm.
That should be the norm, but I think that's so cool. There's been no news on casting or dates, but I think that'll be a really fun one. I know you have that book, but haven't read it yet.
That's right next to you.
Ah, here it is. It's chunky, that's why.
Yeah, it's really cute though. Taylor Jenkins Reid's Seven Husbands of Evelyn Hugo is said to come out in Netflix at some point in 2024. There is no set date yet, but I feel like we've been hearing about this one for a while, so it has to come out next year. Taylor Jenkins also had the Daisy Jones and the Six adaptation, and a lot of people really liked it. I still have yet to watch it. I need to watch it. And she also has One True Love that's been adapted as well, and I still haven't seen that yet either.
She's getting a lot of adaptations though.
She is, and Malibu Rising is supposed to be in the works as well, so she's busy.
She's in her bag. Another romance author in her bag, actually, is the one and only Miss Emily Henry. So apparently this year, Beach Read was picked up by 20th Century Studios for a feature film directed by Yulin Kwong, and that's in early development. Book Lovers was also picked up by a Sundance producer for a movie, and People With Me on Vacation was picked up by 3000 Pictures with Brett Halley directing the movie adaptation. This is gonna be a whole year full of like romance movie adaptations. I hope they're good though.
Next we have They Both Die at the End by Adam Silvera. It was picked up by Netflix for a show. The article that we read was last updated in March, but at that point they had the script done, they had filming locations secured, they just needed a cast. So I'm sure maybe they've worked a little bit more on it, but that's also one that I've been hearing about for a while that I'm ready to see already. The book itself, I was thinking like the whole time while reading that this is one I really want to see adapted just so I could see like how they're picturing it and how it's going to come to the screen. So I'm ready.
We have A Good Girl's Guide to Murder by Holly Jackson being adapted into a TV show, and they've casted Emma Myers as Pip. She was the friend from Wednesday. I can't think of her character name in Wednesday, but I really loved her. I think she's going to be a great Pip, and they've said season 1 will cover all of book 1. So I think it's going to be really good. This is one I'm going to watch. I think it's UK based, but either way, I'm going to love it.
Up next, we have The Unhoneymooners by Christina Lauren. It was picked up by BCDF Pictures, and they also picked up The Spanish Love Deception, which I still have yet to read yet, but I really need to. This is the same company that did the Hating Game adaptation, which we didn't watch either, but we love Lucy Hale, so.
I heard that one was decent, so I have high hopes for these two. The Unhoneymooners I think will be a really fun one to watch.
Yeah.
Going strong with the romance adaptations, we have The Love Hypothesis by Ali Hazelwood. In October of 2022, it was announced that Besoy's Pictures, I probably pronounced that wrong, but they specialize in romantic films and they acquired the rights to the novel. The film adaptation is currently in pre-production, but this will be a really cool one, and I'm interested to see who they're gonna cast as the main characters.
Next, we have The Inheritance Games by Jennifer Lynn Barnes. So Amazon will develop The Inheritance Games into a TV series with Sony Pictures TV, with the author as one of the producers, but there is no casting or date released yet.
Anytime the author is working on it, I have high hopes.
I feel better. If the author is on set,
Then I'm set.
then we're set, the movie is set. They have to have some authority to be like, that is not how I want it.
I would hope so, but who knows? One that I hadn't heard about but was super excited to see was that Red Queen by Victoria Aveyard is set to have a TV show on Peacock with Elizabeth Banks directing, producing, and starring in it. And they had written the script already. So I'm hoping this ends up going through because I actually really enjoyed that first book. I didn't continue with the series, but I think it would be a super interesting show. So if they can do this right, I think it's gonna be super successful.
Up next, we have the historical fiction bestseller, which was The Nightingale by Kristen Hanna. This was picked up for a movie adaptation starring the Fanning sisters, but it kept getting pushed back. I'm guessing because of the strike that happened, everything is just super pushed back and nobody knows what is happening. But Dakota did say that there's still hope for it and she and her sister really want it to happen. So I'm wondering if that means like they finished filming.
The script is done because Dakota was like, I read the script and I loved it. They just would need to film it. So that's what's taking.
So the hard part hasn't happened yet.
Yeah, but the script is done. They both want to do it.
Right.
So like, just let them film it.
Just put them and they'll do it.
Just give them an iPad and let them film it themselves at that point. So up next is one we just talked about in our Smash or Pass video, but it's The Perfect Marriage by Geneva Rose. It's being adapted into a film with Sigil Alvin as the director and William Broyles as the screenwriter. It says William had worked on Apollo 13 and Castaway, which I knew are super huge films. I am interested in this adaptation. We just talked about it. We didn't love the book, but I could see it as a good movie.
So for a sci-fi option, we of course have to do Dune Part 2. And it's the same director as the first one, which we actually really enjoyed. In the first one, we barely got any Zendaya scenes. So I know in the second one, we're going to get a lot more. So of course, Timothy and Zendaya. Also Florence Pugh and Austin Butler are going to be in it. This was originally supposed to come out on November 3rd of this year, but it got pushed back to March 15th. That's my birthday.
Oh,
2024.
That'll be fun.
Yeah.
I'm like, we're gonna go see Dune.
We're all gonna go see Dune.
So up next, one with a set date. It says Universal is adapting the Tony Award-winning musical Wicked, based on the novel by Gregory Maguire, into 2 films. And I'm so freaking excited for this. I don't watch many Broadway musicals, but this one is my favorite. So I can't wait to see the adaptation. The movies will star Cynthia Erivo as Alphaba and Ariana Grande as Glinda. The films are directed by John M. Chu, and part 1 is set to release November 27th of 2024, but it keeps getting pushed back, so who knows. Though I've never read the book, the musical is fantastic, so I can't wait to see this on the screen. I can't really imagine Ariana Grande as Glinda, so I'm really interested to see how she's gonna do in that role.
Next, we have Blackout, which was rumored to have been picked up by the Obamas to be adapted into a Netflix miniseries, and that was announced in 2021. But we haven't seen any updates for that.
We both have that book and haven't read it yet, but I've heard good things about it. They can make that happen. Like, I'm sure. Okay, so of course you guys are probably waiting for us to address the Avatar adaptation. I'm just honestly confused about it. It had been picked up by Hulu and the director of Outlander was supposed to be working on it. That was the only reason people felt a little bit secure in their decision because Outlander did so well. Sarah J Maas had said they were working on a pilot, but then she deleted her Instagram posts that said that Hulu was adapting it. So we don't really know what's going on. I kind of hope Hulu does fall through though, because that just doesn't seem like the platform could do this justice. I am definitely siding with the people who don't think it needs an adaptation in the first place, especially not a live action adaptation. If anything, I think an animated adaptation would be so much better because you could do so much more. But if you had to do a live action adaptation, I'm hoping HBO Max picks it up because at least we know with like Game of Thrones and like that kind of vibe, they could do a lot with that because there's like less restrictions. But like, how are these bat boys gonna look in real, you know what I mean? Like that stuff we're not supposed to see. Just leave that to the imagination. I don't know. We'll keep our eyes peeled for any more information on that though. I'm not gonna be mad if it falls through. I'm really not.
Up next, we of course have Fourth Wing, which was recently picked up by Amazon and Michael B. Jordan's Outlier Society, and they have acquired the rights to not only Fourth Wing, but also the follow-up Iron Flame. It says Yarrows is a non-writing executive producer on the Fourth Wing TV series alongside Liz Pelletier for Entangled Publishing. The Fourth Wing adaptation will stream on Prime Video, and there's no additional details regarding the cast or dates or anything like that. So we are in early production for this.
So the last ones we have on here are just ones that we know were picked up, but there's pretty much no more information, so we thought we'd kind of just quickly go over these and mention them. I really couldn't find anything about them. I do know that If We Were Villains by ML Rio was picked up by Blank 49 Studios for a TV adaptation, but there's been no update since last year, so not really sure how that one's going.
Olivia Blake's Alice 6 was picked up by Amazon for a TV series, but there's no update on that either.
It Happened One Summer by Tessa Bailey was picked up last year, but then I saw nothing afterwards, so I don't know if that's still happening, but I know that was a super popular one.
I think that one will be really fun to see because you have like the girl who's like full Hollywood and then she goes to the small town and it's giving like classic 2000s kind of movie vibe.
And then I saw an article with just a whole list of books. I just can't even believe we're getting adaptations, but if this is true, I'm all for it. The Hush Hush series, did you read that in middle school? The fact that this is getting an adaptation now in 2023 is insane. Hush Hush by Becca Fitzpatrick. I want to reread that just so I can get back into the headspace before this adaptation. I hope it goes through. I also believe Fallen is getting another adaptation. I know it got one years back, but I think they're redoing it. No idea who's doing that. That would be another great one to watch.
We know Scythe is getting adapted. I feel like that is one that I don't want to see adapted.
Nope. It
just
shouldn't
because
be.
just the idea of like people walking around with their little robes on and like just having the authority to take lives and like their robes being able to be bejeweled just seems like so silly for an adaptation. So I'm really scared that they're not going to do it right, but we'll see.
We'll see. I'm hoping Neil Shusterman has some kind of control over something. We haven't heard much about it, but we know that Steven Spielberg was directing it, and we heard that from Neil Shusterman himself. So that should be exciting.
I've also heard that Shatter Me is getting adapted. That's another one I don't really want to see adapted. It's just because all these ideas, I feel like I envision it so perfectly in my head, and I don't want it to be like downgraded on the screen.
I know that the selection had like been picked up and then it was dropped.
Yeah.
That's no longer happening.
I saw like the first 10 minutes of it.
Oh, it was out?
I mean, I think it like illegally got out, but it was a mess.
That's why then.
Yes, it was bad.
And then I know that it was like rumored that Cruel Prince was picked up, but then it wasn't. So I don't know what that was about. A couple more that we did have was We Were Liars by E. Lockhart. We liked that book. We're not one of the haters. I'm interested to see that movie. I think they could do a really good adaptation of it. Also, Red Rising by Pierce Brown. I think that could be incredible. I think that could be the next like Dune level type of movie.
Wow.
Just because it's like a sci-fi dystopian fantasy type of thing. Don't know who's working on that though.
We also saw that They Wish They Were Us by Jessica Goodman. It's gonna be adapted. We see Sydney Sweeney is like posting about it. She posted about it a while ago. And we're seeing Halsey is in it too.
I know, I thought this was a YA mystery thriller, but now I don't know. It says, a murder mystery set against the backdrop of an exclusive prep school on Long Island. That's gonna be really fun. I'm down to read that before watching.
Yeah, I will read that.
I know the really popular The Thing About Jellyfish by Ali Benjamin is gonna get an adaptation, and Children of Blood and Bone is another big one. There's You guys, every single popular book will be getting adaptation. I don't know why they keep doing that, but they just continue to keep picking them up. I know Lightlark is coming out. The list goes on and on. We could sit here all day and talk about all the
of these books that are in front of us right now.
Adaptations.
From other videos, yeah.
Whatever. We've experienced the stories. It'll be cool to see it in a different format. There's probably a bunch more. Let us know in the comments if you're excited about any of these, if you've heard any updates for any of these, or if you have any other ones that you know are getting adapted.
That's pretty much it for today's video. Be sure to join our Literal Besties book club. The link for that will be in the description.
We are currently reading this book for December, so make sure to join. Also, make sure to like and subscribe if you haven't already. Thank you so much for watching. We will see you next time. Jason Baldoni, along with
Justin Baldoni.
Oh, it's also somehow starring Jason Baldoni.
Justin.
His name's Justin? I wrote Jason both times.
Let me make sure this is Justin.
I think it's Jason. And William Broyles. Apparently he worked on Apollo 13 and Castaway. I'm unfamiliar with him, but he's attached as a screenwriter. I mean, we had just talked about this.
Wait, was that yours? Was that you telling the camera?
Yeah. What?
It was just so boring that
I'm sorry. I'll do one more time then.
I thought you were just saying it because I was like...
That's cute too.
Thank you, this is Fabletics.
I like the color. It's giving like an eggplant. I like it.
You're just not gonna watch it with me?